Welcome to Fat Cat production of News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. And today is July 5th, 2025. This is episode 97. I actually had to start the show over again. We're in South Carolina. We took a nice power hit during our big storm here. And I lost my feeds. I lost everything. So, about this program, News with a View, it's a conservative-leaning videocast, podcast, show, whatever you want to call it. But I do take both sides of an argument when it comes down to, the pros and cons of any of the news that's out there. Now, news, let me just, myself, give you a little background. I have no journalism, nothing. I did have 38 years in the television field, working for CBS Television. Light production. I was in engineering and then went to what's called master control, and that's a quality control of everything leaving the building or coming into the building. Ingest, which was taking it in, and sending signals outside the building to our affiliates or whoever else was required to get our signal. But what I've seen in broadcasting was that mostly with the news or with any of their programming, it's geared toward a marketable entity, a consumer. And television knows what its consumers like. And they present programming, and they present mostly the news in a manner which their consumers can ingest nicely. They don't try to switch it up. They don't try to change it too much, because you go to a restaurant or you make your dish that you always make, and you know exactly how you like it. And if they change it up, you'll go, it was all right, but it wasn't what I liked. News is the same way. And that's where you have to be careful. Because they'll get the facts all there. But it's the words after. And in the last, I won't say in the last 30 years, news has always been biased. Always. Because it tries to appeal to the most amount of people. That's how they get their money. They get their eyeballs. And then they go to their sponsors and go, look at all the people watching my show. All future consumers of your product. But they won't know about your product unless you put it on my show. And that's how they all do it. It's all about money. You think Fox News cares? Do you think MSNBC really cares? You're fooling yourself if you think that. They might have, really, none of them have anything in the game. They don't have a dog in the fight. And each one can be aligned to a political party, and that happens. That's just the way, that's the way big people go. As for me, I'm all about rights. Because my rights are your rights are my rights. And if those rights are taken away from anyone, if they take your rights away from you, well, that means they just took them away from me. So I'm very much aware of state rights versus the U.S. Constitution, where the U.S. Constitution is always on the top and state rights filter down. So state rights can never impugn or impede federal rights. And thus the problem that the president had, and most modern day presidents had, with the courts, district courts. So in that speaking, it's going to segue into what I'm going to discuss today, is how one ruling can cascade down to other rulings. One justice is standing out, Justice Jackson, on speaking out against not only the conservative side of the robes. That's what I call the Supreme Court justices, the robes. So when you hear me talk about the robes, I'm talking about the Supreme Court. And she's speaking out against the majority, and she's also speaking out against two of her liberal. So she is now breaking away and becoming what people would say an independent, but she is not an independent. But she is becoming her own entity. And in the last couple of months, she has really spoken out harshly against her colleagues. And she's smart. I say this, and you could go back in all my shows. When I talk about the Supreme Court, I always clarify that I have complete trust in all 9 of them, as knowing the law and exercising their judicial powers. Because the Supreme Court, you ain't getting higher than that, folks. That's the top of the food chain. But she has been speaking out, I mean, to the point of it being almost personal. And that shows her lack of judicial maturity in her function there. And, you could say, hey, everyone has their thing. Everyone has their say. But the Supreme Court should not be a pulpit. Now they can, and they do. They do go out and they give speeches and they say, hey, this is, you had questions on why we did this, and this is how we did it, and this is why we did it, and I wrote a dissent on that because I didn't think that was right, or I was I gave the release on why we went this way. So, but she has been very, very vocal, to the point where even her critics are saying, it might be going a little bit too far. But I think the justices that are sitting there can get past that. And they're not going to say, hey, screw her. And I was going to go that way, but now I'm not. I don't feel that has any bearing on any of them. So my trust in the Supreme Court is solid. I don't have to agree with them all. I don't have to agree with a ruling they do. But as far as them knowing the law and exercising it, yeah, I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm very good with that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think it should be something that we should be sitting here and going, this one is more capable than the other one. No. The issue that Jackson has is that she feels that other justices take the meaning, the words, literally and rule by the language which is in front of them. Now, it may seem like that, and she'll make those type of complaints, but she also knows darn well that the justices all look at what was behind the intent of that particular amendment. And I've said it before, what you and I use in our language as it or if becomes totally different when it's used in the context of the law. Because it might refer back to, birthrights, where it to us just means, an object or whatever. It has no definition. But in the law, is and if and it all have a different type of meaning. You asked Bill Clinton about that. So Jackson has been becoming very vocal on her dissent of the justices, of her opinions, of their not of the justices. It's almost getting personal, but their rulings. She believes, and from what I get from her, is that she would like to take it to the people. And that is not what her job is to do. Taking it and listening to the people and using, well, that's what the people want. No, we have to tie it back to the law, or you'd have some people here that go, hey, I think women shouldn't have the vote. I don't think blacks should have the same rights as I have. So the Constitution protects us from that, from a sliver in time where people want it changed, but they don't want to go through the amendment process. And the Supreme Court can narrowly change what an amendment means in the narrowest circumstances. And what really ticked her off was the stopping district judges from preventing the president from exercising his executive powers, which then cascade down to, the First Amendment rights, but the 14th Amendment rights. Well, you could have freedom of speech in there too. You could make all those claims. The fact of the matter is it really doesn't change much because it just gives the people that are having a problem with a particular ruling executive order from the president have a path. It's just a little bit more cumbersome. And a judge can't just decide for himself in Kansas what's going on in California. So it kind of changes the landscape, but just a little. Just a little. Now, the screaming that's going on by the Democrats, well, one day there'll be a Democratic president. And he gets to use all these tools. And President Trump has not been changing the Constitution. Not a word, not a sentence, not a comma, not a paragraph. Nothing has changed. What President Trump has done is ask the Supreme Court the definition of really what that means. And he makes an argument that this is how I see it. And when I say he sees it, his administration sees it. And then makes the argument. And if the Supreme Court goes, hey, listen, yes, you are seeing it correctly. Then that's the path. People can change the amendments. You have to go through a lengthy process. Good luck with that. It's not an easy path to go. But it's been done. And people, well, Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was an issue that should never have been in front of the federal court. Because the Constitution didn't expressly say privacy for a doctor or privacy for the government or privacy, and that was the factor of Roe v. Wade. It was a privacy issue. And even Justice Ginsburg had said, bad law, destined to be overruled. If someone made the argument to bring it forward and take it forward. And she even said, she goes, Roe v. Wade was bad law. And it got overturned. But it didn't outlaw it. It just said, the states now, we don't have a say in it. Then it goes down to your state rights, which are very important. And certain states can say no abortion. Other states can say abortion's for everyone. That's the way this works. But Jackson is a person that wants to take it to the people. And taking it to the people is fine. But that's what you have legislators for. That's why you have congresspersons for. And that's why you have senators. Those are the people that the people can go to. Not directly to the Supreme. She can't have an audience. It says, I want to fire up the people to go this way. That is not her job. That is not her job to do. Now, can she do it? Of course she has freedom of speech. She can do it. Of course she can. But she shouldn't. Stick to the job at hand. So, all right. On Tuesday, there was that big sick of Trump, sick of ICE protest that was supposed to take place. And really no one showed up for it. And it calling for it was calling for a sick out, and it was supposed to hurt you. No one was going to be at convenience stores. No one was going to be at restaurants. No one was going to be where all the little people go. And it was meant to deprive you of liberal labor for a day. Yeah, well, that's nice because those people have to eat too. So the idea of this whole thing was the protest movement was called Sick of Trump, Sick of ICE. In order to protest the president, you were supposed to pretend you were under the weather for the day to show just how much you dislike the Donald or immigration and enforcement. You think those people were going to take a day off for that and not take a day off to take care of, hey, I got six sick days. I know I got to go to a parent teacher. I know one of these kids are going to be sick. I'm going to be sick. I need a mental health day. This isn't going to be it. And the sickofice.org website, read, Trump vowed to carry out the largest domestic deportation operation in American history. Is a declaration of war against all of us. What? What? Do you think the deportation or even the denaturalization of people that they're going to bust your door down and said, well, your relatives came here 60 years ago and we're going to take your rights away from you? Do you think that's really going to happen? Do you know how many times it's been used in the last 20 years? About 300 times. And of that, probably 200 were deported. And the only way they can deport, and that's just a naturalized citizen, just so you know. Those are people that came here, filled out a thing for immigration, applied for a green card, got their green card, and then became citizens. The only way you could be deported as a citizen is when you had to be naturalized. Second, you would have had to carry out a terrorist act or supported a terrorist organization, committed some type of massive fraud, or be a war criminal. Now, to get a green card, you had to go through a vetting process. And anyone that had any of these major problems going on, you didn't get a green card. I understand where people are saying, well, maybe Obama and Biden allowed immigration authorities to look the other way. Or you couldn't include that in your search now. Or you weren't allowed to ask him that question. I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge on the subject. But I do know that if you lied on your application for a green card, that can get you in trouble. That can get you in trouble. Can it get you deported? It depends what it is. If you were an active member of Hamas and you came over here and you said, no, Hamas? What are you talking about? And then they find out that you were an active participant in Hamas or Hezbollah or the Muslim Brotherhood or a Nazi, or you committed war crimes and never said anything. Yeah, you could be denaturalized and then sent back to wherever you came from. We've done it before. It was done not all the time. It's very uncommon. It is a very uphill battle to do. Very difficult to get there if you found out that they actually lied. Now, you can't leave something on those forms unfilled. You can't just say, well, I never answered the question, and you never came back and asked me. So, no harm, no foul. It doesn't work that way. All the lines have to be filled up. Not applicable would not be an answer. You'd have to say no. And if you answered yes, then you see subheading 23A and give us details. And you could give the details, just like many Germans came over after World War II in the 50s. They had to fill out paperwork. And were you a Nazi? Yes. Were you? Did you fight against America? Yes. Did you commit war crimes? No. I was a foot soldier. Okay. They look into it and they see what information they got. Not showing up on any war crime list. Yeah, you start going through the hurdles. And it took years. Years. From the day of application to actually coming over here. That changed. That changed under Obama, and that changed under Biden, where you could just show up and walk through and, say, they're after me. Okay, so you feel threatened. All right. We're going to give you a temporary protection status until we can figure it out. Or, there was an earthquake, and everything's ruined, and everything's. I want to come to America. All right. Well, we're going to give you temporary status because, they'll rebuild, and then you can go back. Yeah, sure. 2010. 16 years. I'm just going to point out the Haitians. About $400 million collected by the Clintons to rebuild Haiti. What happened? What happened to that? South America, there were problems there. Some countries clamped down on their criminals, and It's a lot better now. You can go home. You can go home. TPS, temporary protection status. And when that started being called into question, then you had people go, oh, well, we're going to give them a parolee. They're here, but we're going to let them out. They're going to come back for the hearing, which 70% of the people never came back. And they disappeared. And they were supposed to have sponsors and supporters and everything else. And what happened with that? Now, of those people that came over, were they all criminals? Were they all bad people? No, of course not. They weren't bad people. They wanted to do a better life for themselves. Some even are going through the system of getting naturalized. And good for them. Good for them. But then a lot didn't. And a lot just disappeared and never showed up for their court hearing. And you had 12 million. You actually had 30 million people coming between Obama and Biden. And Trump tried to stop it. Remember, oh, they're separating families. Well, they're saying they have no kids, yet they brought 4 kids in. The kids are saying, that's not my parents. They were sending kids on railroad cars through. The biggest hoax other than COVID treatment was the immigration policies. And it wasn't even a policy. We have an immigration policy. It just wasn't adhered to. Was Obama and Biden. And they did it for the sole purpose of getting votes. It wasn't humanitarian. They could give a rat's ass about them. It was about getting votes. Taking these people and then resettling them in red controlled areas. And these were all going to be blue people. They were going to then change the political demograph of states. This was extremely sinister by the Democrats. Extremely sinister. So, this whole idea of largest domestic deportation, well, it might be. And Trump calling it an invasion, I'm not going to say he's not wrong. We can't leave the immigrant community to fight alone. All citizens have a duty to stand up against this. And, they went on to say, and no one noticed, and no one cared. Because most people know that what the left is screaming and yelling about is a total bull droppings. The protest had a grand total of less than 80 people. This was held in Texas, in San Antonio. This is the problem with the Democrats. You have no plan, and the actions you do take is contrary to what our Constitution and laws say. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, in another, let me see, what do we got? 35 minutes up there of me babbling. In another tidbit, which is an interesting tidbit in the news. In New York City, a Department of Motor Vehicle worker was arrested for allegedly selling driver's licenses for $2,000. And these weren't fake driver's licenses. These were through the system driver's license. Now, you say, okay, that happens, and it does happen, and you get bad people in government, it happens. But you get a driver's license, New York, you can vote. Now, they didn't say whether or not these were driver's license that they showed star ID or, anything with the new driver's license that will be required for travel, things of that sort. Now, this was a driving school in Queens that targeted Chinese immigrants with ads on social media for the illicit service. And this is a report from WNBC, local station. I just wanted to go back to the last thing I was talking about because I want to make sure. Well, one of the articles were from NBC Universal. I always like giving credit to where I get the news source from. I do not plagiarize. I just highlight facts that they used. I don't word for word repeat their story. Just saying, hey, in this WNBC report said this happened. And what they said is that you would go to the driving school and you'd fill out paperwork and stuff, and they would sometimes, or allegedly, would have someone else show up to take their driving test. Pass it, or pay the person off who was supposed to be giving the test. Yeah. You need 83 points. You got 88 points. You pass. And money exchanged hands. This was exposed with the help of an undercover NYPD detective who spoke Chinese, the particular dialect, Fuhan dialect, and pretended he was a customer and needed a driver's license. So the problem that they have is they don't know how many people they might have given false driver's licenses to. Now, I would suspect that everyone going to that school, they have a list, or they might not. They might not. The list could be gone. And these people have a driver's license. How do you reconcile it? And, the people found guilty of it, face a maximum of 7 years in jail. That's about the most that you're going to get. and can face up to 7 years, for tampering with state records and identity theft. But again, if this is going on, it is a major problem. But okay, again, I don't say this. The state turned a blind eye. They certainly did not turn a blind eye to it, and they certainly recognized that there was a problem going on. And between Homeland Security and New York State Inspector General's office, the Staten Island Attorney General, they all worked together to stop this. Now, let's go back to how one action in the courts can compound down, right? These people are Chinese immigrants. They defrauded the state. And in a way that could have harmed people. It was motor vehicles, supposed to test your ability to operate a motor vehicle under the laws of New York State. And since the laws of New York State motor vehicle are recognized by other states, go anywhere, right? So, would you say those people should be deported for committing fraud? You could make that argument, and it would be a good argument. And the people that were running this, if they were doing it, and they were Chinese, and they were naturalized or not, maybe here under TPS, don't know. Don't know what they're under. What do you think should happen? I know they should be kicked out. You can't do that. Now, if you want to put them in jail first and make them serve their 7 years, and on the 7th year and 1 day when they come out, then you deport them, that's fine too. I don't have a problem with that. That's the way things should work. When you jam up the system like that, now you must pay. And some of these people could have been duped into going, yeah, this is how it's done, this is what it does. They might not know. And there could be, you might be able to go, I know that was the easy way. Did you know you were breaking the law? Well, of course, ignorance of the law is going to be no excuse, but if they were being told and led down the path, you might want to say, there was no one there to stop them. It was done, and that's the way it is. I think that these people should be charged. Whether or not they should be deported, that's not for me to say. Really it is, then they should be tossed out. But that's interesting because that happens throughout the country. And it's not, liberals going, oh, we're going to get these people driver's license, we're going to do this, we're going to get them to vote. No. Easier way for them to do that than that. And that was not the genesis. This was a criminal activity. And if it's happening here, it's happening in New Jersey and it's happening elsewhere. Tentacles. And let's stop it. All right, the Democrats all screaming the GOP will own whatever bad things happen from the impact of Trump's mega bill. And that's from NBC Universal. I did find it. And they're saying that, bad things, they got to own it. Well, how about the good things? And I'm a fan of saying, hey, listen, if I'm going to critique you in a negative way, then I have to also critique you when you do things in a positive way. I'm just not there, to whip you. I will say, hey, this helped people. I said that about Biden. I said there's some things that he did that helped people. And, was a good thing. So if I could say, if I could critique him in a negative manner when I feel he's done something wrong, I also had to, give him thumbs up when he did something right. Because that's what reasonable people should do. And people with common sense. Not everything that a politician does is, look what they're doing. They do some good things. People on the red side have done bad things that I have said, no bueno, you can't do that. And the same on the other side. So where they're all condemning President Trump, and you're going to own the bad things. Well, yeah, they're also going to own the good things, right? You're going to come out and go, hey, Trump was right over that. Yeah, this didn't hurt. Yeah, this was a good thing. Instead of just saying everything in that bill is bad. Yeah, see, that's when the reasonable people, there is no reasonable people. And then that crosses over to the other side. And if you're not going to be reasonable, how can I be reasonable? Why should I be reasonable when you're not? That's not how I play in the sandbox. When you play nice with me, I'll play nice with you. And this is where our politics have gotten to. And I blame you, Bob, in New York, for it. If you're listening, I blame you. But it comes down to, honestly, you lost. You're upset. Your party has become irrelevant in the sense that all you could do is throw mud. Doesn't do anything. Now you got all these Democrats, social Democrats running around. John Fetterman hits it on the head again. This is Christmas in July for the GOP. And I've said this, if you listen to my shows, I have said this on almost every show. Democrats, what are you doing? What are you thinking? I'm a Republican. But like I said, a good idea is a good idea no matter where it comes from. There's a lot of good thinking Democrats out there. Plenty of them. That I listen to and I go, no, you got a point. AOC has made points. So not everything is political with me. As long as it conforms to the Constitution and our laws, hey. And you could go, I don't like that law. I want to change it. Go through the process. Get it done. But in the meantime, you still have to obey that law. It's not a cafeteria. You can't go, mm, mm, no, 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 not today. So, Democrats, I keep pointing this out to you. You want to fix your problems? You want to become relevant? You work with President Trump. He won. He's got the Congress. He's got the Senate, which is the Congresses. I'll get people go, oh, it's the same thing, man. You don't know. No, I know. It's the Congresses. House of Representatives and the Senate. Yeah, I paid attention in 4th grade. No, Mrs. Lieberman, you tried. They should be working with the president. And this is why the Democrats are just so, I mean, they're animals against Fetterman. I mean, a year ago, oh, he's great, he's fantastic, he's sharp. Okay, he had some problems, he had a mental breakdown, he had a stroke. I mean, who wouldn't after everything that he went through? And now all of a sudden they're all screaming, oh, he has a problem, he has to step down, we should remove him. And again, you get to hear this from the left. And, they want to remove him. Oh, they want to remove a sitting senator? Who has the problem with democracy? I would say, from this vantage point, I'm looking at Democrats who have a problem with democracy. We put President Biden up for re-election. We allowed other people to run against him in primaries. And he was fit. We stand behind him today that he can complete a 2nd term. Never seen a stronger guy. And in the debates, I mean, he did everything but wet himself. He might have done that too. And then all of a sudden, oh, we can't have him. He's no good. Oh, he's having problems. And the problems they knew about. They knew about these things. And then they said, well, you know what? Under our bylaws in the DNC, we don't have to count your vote. And we don't have to do another vote. We can just have the delegates put someone up there. And that should be, Harris. And I can understand the logic that if Biden had became incapacitated or, God forbid, had died while sitting in office, Harris would have been there. And so I wasn't so upset that Harris was picked. I mean, if I was them, that would be the last person. But what could you do at that point? 4 months away from an election. You've already changed horses in the middle of the stream. So you're committed. Now you're committed. And you had then the people that go, well, all right, we didn't report it, we knew it, but we didn't report it. And when the right-leaning media was saying, hey, you hear this guy? You got to be kidding me. Sleepy Joe. Joe can't do it. He's a racist. That's mega talk. Liars. I was just with the president, and he was as fit as can be. And they all lied. And that was the problem that America had with the Democrats. You drank your own Kool-Aid. And now you can't be trusted because now other things are coming out. You just can't be trusted. You try to win that trust back. You're not going to be able to do it. Not for a long freaking time. Because you know why? We're not going to let you forget about it. And you could all go, well, that's irrelevant. That happened back then. No, it's relevant. That's relevant. You lied. You lied. You lied. You lied. Now the other Democrats come up and go, hey, I'm just running as a Democrat because I believe in this, and this, and that goes against what the Republican does. So I'm a Democrat, but I had nothing to do with that. And so you're going to have to wait till these people are out. Your Pelosi's, your Waters, your Greens, your Schumers, your Schiffs, your Wassermans. You're going to have to wait. Or don't elect them. Which is even the quicker way to regain your party. Vote Republican, get them out, and then when a brand new, fresh Democrat comes up to challenge these people, then you can go, I'm going to vote blue. And I'm going with new paint, new brand, a new brush on a new wall. That's how you need to do it. You don't need this guy telling you what you need to do. You know what you need to do. And if you sit back there and just refuse to do it, you're toast. You are truly toast. And it will not end up good for you. So, all right. This has been almost 1 hour now. I always try to keep this down to an hour now or less. I think I was pretty spot on with Justice Jackson. I think I've been pretty spot on most of my things here today. Other things I might skew off the path of being non-biased, but it's just so obvious to even the most casual observer on what's happening. And it's just mind-boggling. All right. I got to look here for a second to find my... Still one. Hope this doesn't go up here. All right, that's going to go that way. So I'm ready to exit out of the program. For my YouTube audience, this will be going up on Facebook later on today. YouTube stays there. X, I have not. I think I got to become a... And I really dislike X. It's good, and probably I could quadruple my audience. So I will go there, but I think I have to become a premium member. And I hate joining any group. Any group that would have me as a member, the old joke, I don't know if I should, if that's a good idea. But all right, with that, I'm going to say, if you can, give to a charity. I realize charity begins at home, but if you can, do it. Make sure you choose a bona fide charity. Don't let them come to you. You go to them. Don't become a victim, helping victims. If you can give food, cans, go to a food bank, 4 cans. Might not seem a lot to you, but people that have no cans, those 4 cans mean everything. And do it without, well, these people should do this and these people should do that. And why is it that I put that aside? Hungry is hungry. And do the right thing. So, say a prayer. Prayer does work. Bob in New York. I'm going to call you later on today. Going to make you watch this show. And with that, I am going to fade to black. So, you guys all be good.